Good day, monkeys. I'm Eddie Braverman, that's Midas Mulligan Magoo, and this is episode 7 of Not Safe for Work on WallStreetOasis.com. This week we're talking about all-nighters, the ramifications of the Bush tax cuts, and the campaign to destroy JP Morgan by purchasing physical silver. So let's get after it. In this segment of work-life balance advice, I wanted to give you my strategies for dealing with the inevitable all-nighters that come up in this business. Whether you're a college student studying for finals or a banker with pitch book revisions, you have to know how to power through an all-nighter, and sometimes a few of them back-to-back. A lot of guys use Ritalin or Adderall. I'm kind of baffled by that. I thought they just gave that shit to middle school speds to keep them from killing each other. If you're going to go the drug route, you might as well just use meth. It's cheaper, it lasts longer, and you don't need a prescription. All joking aside, I've found the best way to cope with an all-nighter is to work in a few caffeine naps. Someone actually mentioned this technique on the site the other day, and it's something we were doing 20 years ago, so it's well proven. When you start feeling worn out, you find a place to crash for 15 minutes. Your desk, shitter, it doesn't matter as long as it's comfortable. Then you do a double shot of espresso and go to sleep for 15 minutes. Even if you don't actually get to sleep, you'll feel like a new man because the caffeine will just be kicking in as you get up. But remember, 15 minutes and no longer, or you'll actually feel worse. Midas?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, Eddie. I, for one, don't see what sort of man would forego the wonderful, wonderful combination of being able to have unlimited orgasms while having absolutely no chance of getting it up in the first place.
All right.
I don't see why you guys want Adderall or Ritalin when you can have that. This is what cocaine was invented for, guys. Come on, bang a couple of rails, grind your teeth down to a nub while blasting out that DCF. You can do it 3 days in a row without sleeping. What's better than that? But seriously, nothing works better for than physical exertion for a pick-me-up. Adrenaline's by far the most powerful stimulant out there, so a natural jolt of it will do more for you than Red Bull wrapped inside of a Mocha Cheeto stuffed inside of Pepsi. I mean, Eddie, you were in the Corps, you know the drill. Drop and give me 20 when you're sleepy, and, don't let me see your eyes twinkle. Navy SEALs sleep a day a week. an hour per day during Hell Week, so I think you guys can handle doing a few push-ups, a few sit-ups. Stop being Curious George over there whining and crying. Act like McGilla Gorilla. Punch your chest a little bit. Punch your associate if you have to. Wind sprint from one end of the cubicle to the other. A little push-up, a little sit-up. You're pretty much ready to go after that. What do you got?
Yeah, that's true. Once you get the blood flowing, you do feel a lot better.
It's the only way.
All right. Well, I can't figure out what the hell's going on in D.C. when it comes to the so-called Bush tax cuts. One day they want to let them expire, the next day they don't. Obama threw everyone a curveball this week when he came out and said that the cuts should be extended, and then he insisted on extending unemployment benefits as well. So that makes perfect sense. Less tax revenue coupled with more spending. Sounds like a great deficit reduction strategy. Be that as it may, though, the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty interesting. With no clear direction as to how the vote is going to go, I personally think the tax cuts are going to get extended, but that's not for sure. I think we might see the market get pretty jittery. Some people were saying that we could expect a crash if the tax cuts weren't extended, as investors would take profits before year-end to avoid the increase in the capital gains tax. So we have that to look forward to potentially. But a little closer to home, though, is the bonus issue. Now, some of the banks have come out and made some noise that they may pay out bonuses before year-end if the tax cuts aren't extended, in order to save their employees significant tax dollars. I'm not quite sure how this would work because a lot of things would have to fall into place in a short period of time for that to happen. But think about how much merrier Christmas would be with a nice fat bonus check before the holidays. A girl can dream, right? What do you think, Midas? Oh, damn.
I think I'm going to have to get you a new bra for Christmas to hold those babies back, baby. You clearly failed your Keynesian econ class, Eddie. Government waste plus government ineptitude plus utter incompetence multiplied by populism equals change, baby. The change we can believe in. And it's coming down the block driving a busted hearse with no engine or brakes. It's going to be a fun 2011. I can't wait. My favorites are the Bush versus Obama discussions. I mean, there's no difference between any of these guys. It's just a different talking head getting thrown on top of the pyramid scheme. If one of these guys comes along at a time when the economy's kicking, he's a hero. If he comes along when the economy is struggling, he's a turd and, a communist, socialist, so on and so forth. And this tax cut thing proves that absolutely nothing is changing, just like, you said, just like I said, just like anybody with a brain said pre-election day. Government's just incompetent and rides the waves of markets. Now that the Republicans are in, they have to glad hand their donors, call them voters. You got to keep the Bush tax cuts. The Pelosinator's going to sit there with her flower children and turn on Barack, and he's going to sit there in the middle getting pin slapped from both sides of the aisle, wondering why, being a good speaker doesn't cut it anymore. Yeah, there's really not much that's going to happen. Everybody's going to stand pat. They're going to talk a lot of trash, and nothing's going to get done. In fact, in terms of the bonuses, Morgan's already talking about slashing their bonuses down, so a lot of other things could happen there that our little chimps and chimp pets are not going to be too happy with. So, with that having been said, I'd say hold your breath and hope for better things to happen, though they probably won't.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that coming out of the House of Morgan has to do with what we're going to talk about next, though. Back in episode 4, we mentioned the alleged collusion between JP Morgan and HSBC in an attempt to manipulate the silver market. Over the past few weeks, more details have come to light, and it's actually starting to look like the Fed may have even had a hand in it. Rumors are circulating that JP Morgan may have just been acting under the Fed's instructions. Just to keep metals prices low so as to not undermine the dollar. Now, needless to say, the whole situation has got people riled up. The Guardian reported last week that JP Morgan's current short position is 3.3 billion ounces of silver, which is more silver than even exists on planet Earth. So an internet campaign has sprung up to attempt to crash JP Morgan by encouraging people to go out and buy physical silver now, even if it's just an ounce. That way, there's no way JP Morgan will be able to cover their short position, and the losses from the short squeeze could drive the bank out of business. Now, much like Tank a Bank, the idea is great in theory. Unlike Tank a Bank, this scheme might actually work in practice. I think one thing is clear. People are sick of banks getting a pass, and they want their pound of flesh. Whether it's JP Morgan taking it in the tailpipe with no grease over silver, or some other too-big-to-fail monstrosity in the near future, I think one of them is going down. And then the whole world's going to see what bullshit the whole systemic risk argument was. Besides, you guys know I just love this kind of consumer mischief. How about you, Midas?
I think we should start our own wing of the campaign, the WSO version, call it Banana in the Tailpipe. If our viewers recall, I didn't disagree with you, but I said to be wary of the silver markets. It has been the most rigged game in town for a century. So you pretty much have to hope that you're going to land on the right side of the equation here, but I don't think it's going to hurt anybody to go out and buy an ounce of silver. I think it's a good idea to try this out. I actually thought you were behind this campaign when I first saw it online, so I'm kind of disappointed about that. But that having been said, one of the greatest unintended side effects of the internet age has been the proliferation of previously really, really closely guarded information. And nowadays everybody knows the game is rigged. Everybody knows the Fed's in bed with more bankers than a Park Avenue escort. Everybody knows that if you're not a high-level investment banker, you're sick and tired of the way things are going. Eventually the house of cards has to come down, whether that's this week, next year, or next decade. It is coming, and people are starting to wake up to that fact. And I think when the Enchanted Circle next sits down to their round table for dinner, they're going to realize that letting JP Morgan go down the drain is really a small price to pay to keep their own heads off the guillotine. And I think when all is said and done, Citi is going to wind up being the big winner in this whole story, since they were the ones smart enough to turn state's evidence first. Because as we know,
go ugly early.
In the real world, Tony Soprano goes down in the second episode, and Big Pussy gets his own reality show. So I'm wondering if Jimmy Diamond hears the lumps of coal crunching above his head yet, because I think that time is coming for our buddies. All right. In further continuance of this far, far, far to the right rhetoric that we preach on you guys every week, I'll recommend another short, sweet, and powerful anecdote to the poison of our current big government world. Principles for a Free Society by Dr. Nigel Ashford is really just a summation of the theories of Jarl Hjalmarsson. Try saying that 3 times fast. Swedish politician from 1950s. Read up about him. It's about 100 pages. You could read it another 2 hours. Just perfect outline of how fucked up shit is and how much we tolerate being shitted on and how simple life really can be. that's about it for me for this week. Remember, if you haven't signed up for the Energy Rodeo yet, make sure you go and do that. You still have 2 weeks while the discount prices are in effect. And back to you, Ed.
All right, man. I actually have an investment book this week for my recommendation. It's a modern-day classic. The book is Investment Biker by Jim Rogers.
Yes. Yes!
It's a great book for learning a macro view on emerging market investments, and it's also a great story. It's the story of how Jim Rogers rode a motorcycle around the world, and it's full of great commentary that would later become his highly successful investment strategy. If you're looking for common sense, emerging market strategies, go read this book. His follow-up book, Adventure Capitalist, is also excellent. Only in this one he does it in a car and he brings a chick along, but that notwithstanding, it's still a great book. So I guess this week I made it a twofer. That's all I've got for this week. Have a great week out there. Keep your fingers crossed that bonuses get shelled out early. Yeah, right! And let's be careful out there. You stay classy, WSO.